Mercury, already in its pre-retrograde shadow, will enter Capricorn on Friday, December 1st. The sign it will station retrograde in only 13 days later. While in Capricorn, Mercury will make a number of positive aspects, making the first half of the month quite pleasant and enjoyable. I'm here to talk more about Mercury in Capricorn and give you the retrograde preview. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you like my work, please support me by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. It helps YouTube algorithm show my videos to more people and bring more attention to my channel. Thank you for that. You also have the option of saying thank you by buying me a coffee. And if you have important questions that you need guidance with, you can always book a reading with me at my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I am currently offering $20 off the year ahead reading, or $40 off if you choose a recorded option in the shop section of my website. In that same shop section, you can find my 2024 planner, 225 pages filled with insights, guides, lunar movement, journaling prompts, and so much more to help you maximize the year to come. This is a must tool for anyone who's interested in astrology. I literally created it because I wanted a planner that will reflect everything that I want to know. And in the shop section of my website, you can also find some of my Mercury candles, like Mercury in Gemini and Mercury in Virgo, to help you get ready for the retrograde. These guys can help you be more focused, avoid some of the miscommunications, and avoid some of the glitches that tend to come with the retrograde. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Mercury in Capricorn and all of the positive transits it's making, as well as going to take a look at the upcoming retrograde. There will be another video about the retrograde, but I really wanted you to know how positive Mercury in Capricorn period will be and give you some tips on maximizing it. So Mercury enters Capricorn on December 1st, stays here until December 23rd, and it will come back again between January 13th and February 5th. So we get almost 2 months of Mercury in Capricorn. It will retrograde between December 13th and January 1st, moving from 8 degrees 28 minutes Capricorn to 22 degrees 12 minutes Sagittarius. So if you have any planets in the first 10 degrees of cardinal signs, and that is Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra, or if you have any planets in the last degrees mutable signs, and that is Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo, this retrograde is more significant for you. You will feel it more importantly if any of your personal planets are aspected. Those questions will be activated, as well as questions represented by the houses the planets rule. If you ever want a reading and you want to know what all of this means for you, check out my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. The shadow period, like I mentioned at the start of this video, is already on its way. It started on November 23rd, lasts until December 13th, and then we get it again from January 1st until January 20th. And the shadow period, so, in general, retrograde is a perceived motion of a planet backwards. It never actually moves backwards, but from Earth, we see it moving backwards. This is similar to two trains passing each other by, right? If one of them is slowing down while the other one is moving at full speed, the one that's slowing down will it will seem like they're moving back and the train is moving forward and they're going back, but in reality, it's just a difference of speeds. So the retrograde of any planet, in this video we're talking specifically about Mercury, represents that sort of perceived slowdown and a need to take a moment to pause, a need to rethink some things. And then the shadow period, which we're already in, is the time that introduces topics that we will need to rethink. It's like a 3-act play, right? You get the first shadow period between November 23rd, December 13th, when you are getting started on something and you're like, I'm gonna accomplish a bunch of things. And then the retrograde begins on December 13th and lasts until January 1st, until basically New Year. Hooray. And that's the time when you're like, okay, what I was thinking doesn't actually work. The road is blocked, right? You were on your way to town to buy some groceries, and then the road is blocked, and you need to like figure out, are you going to order things online? Are you going to find a different route? So you get delayed, right? And then the post-retrograde shadow period between January 1st and 20th is the time when you're actually moving forward. You're like getting things going. So first things first, Mercury in Capricorn between December 1st, December 23rd, and then again later, but let's talk about December right now. Mercury in Capricorn is Mercury that is Saturn ruled. It's very sort of methodical. It's very grounded. It's very rational, right? The thinking can be very organized. So that is part of the storyline of this retrograde storyline, right? Is that we are getting organized. We're looking at the end of the year. We're getting our planners out, right? And marking which transits we want to make videos about, for example. And we're getting things set in motion. And there's a lot of harmony at this time. Mercury sextiles Saturn, trines Jupiter, sextiles Venus, all between December 2nd and 11th. So there is a lot of sort of, forward momentum. There is kind of rational thinking and seriousness. And then, of course, all of this will grind to a halt. Grind to a halt? Is that the way? I think that's the saying. Sometimes, as you probably know, I am originally from Russia, but I've lived in the States for oh my God, since 2007, 16 years. So, but there's still times when I'm like, is this the way? Because my Gemini moon tends to pick up on words and sentences and stores them, but then I think it sometimes they come out and the Virgo in me is like, oh, is this right? So please let me know if you can say things will grind to a halt. I think you can. I know it's said in the past a lot. Anyways, I digress. So just know that Mercury in Capricorn is very practical, very rational, very strategic, right? So these first 13 days of the month are really good for making plans. Just make sure you're leaving room for things to change. Do not get too attached to plans being exactly 100% the way you're thinking about them. Our communication is likely to become more serious, maybe a little bit skeptical, a little bit more sarcastic. Mercury in Capricorn doesn't throw words around when they speak. They like to have the knowledge, have the basis and the foundation for everything they're saying. Watch out for the shadow side of Capricorn, and that is being a bit rigid, right? Earth signs struggle with that, being too traditional or too conservative, too doubtful, because it's a Saturn-ruled sign. There might be that danger of being seeing the problems before you see possibilities. But we have quite beautiful transits on December 2nd as Mercury sextiles Saturn, and that is great for logical thinking, for taking exams, for filing paperwork, submitting any paperwork. And if we're talking about submitting paperwork and we're breaking it into 3-part story, you send your paperwork, then you get a message back that maybe tells you need some extra steps, extra documents, and then Mercury goes direct and you're like, okay, now I can see my visa being approved. So the sextile to Saturn happens on December 2nd, and then it gets repeated when Mercury is retrograde on December 21st, and then again the final route is January 8th. And that is a 3-part story where you are focused and you're thinking about something and you're working through a problem, or you're working through your plan with a methodical, rational, serious attitude. Mercury will also trine Jupiter on December 7th, and then again on the 18th, and then again on January 18th. And Mercury trine Jupiter is very beautiful for travel, really good for presenting your ideas, for speaking in front of people, for sort of announcing some kind of news. You're optimistic, you are interested in learning, writing, presenting your ideas. So this could be quite, good news. But once again, 3-part story. December 7th, you get excited about something. December 18th, you realize that more work needs to be done. January 18th, you possibly find solutions. And another transit that I'd like to flag in this first couple of weeks of December is Mercury sextiling Venus in Scorpio. So Venus enters Scorpio. There's a video coming out about that as well. And because normally Mercury moves much faster than Venus, right? Mercury moves through a sign in like 2 weeks, and Venus takes like 3.5 weeks in her full speed ahead type motion. But now Mercury is slowing down. Mercury is in its shadow period. It's moving slower. So Venus is actually faster than Mercury, and she catches up to him, and they do a little dance on December 11th. We love Venus and Mercury sextiles. This is like a brokering a deal type energy. This is, your speech is charming. You're able to talk through difficult topics with patience and realism and sort of steadiness and authority as well. Mercury is in Capricorn, so not only you are problem solving, but you're doing so with the knowledge necessary. So it's a great time to like make amends, ask for favors, speak in front of people, and yeah, keep working on your agenda. Just know that on December 13th, Mercury goes retrograde, and some of your pieces of the puzzle turned out that they're not in the right spot. So you'll need to, it's like you're putting together a giant puzzle of the clouds, and everything sort of looks the same, and you feel like you've figured it out, but then, stay flexible. And so Mercury goes retrograde on the 13th. On the 22nd, we have a beautiful moment of clarity called Mercury Cazimi, same day as the moon conjoins Jupiter. So save some of your good sort of plans for December 22nd. December 23rd, Mercury re-enters Sagittarius. Will stay here until January 13th. And having that transit right after Cazimi suggests that we have gotten more clarity about the plan that we're working on, and now we need to figure out what is even the reason we have started the project in the first place. I see Mercury moving from Capricorn into Sagittarius as like you're working on the blueprint, and then you need to revisit the original desires of the person who ordered the building, for example. So Mercury goes into Sagittarius, and we are really looking to understand, the motivation behind it. Of course, there's also a possibility that Mercury retrograding into Sagittarius will call you to look at the brand new themes, but it's not brand new themes because we've already been in the land of Sagittarius. Mercury in Sagittarius feels different than Mercury in Capricorn. Mercury in Sagittarius will square Neptune on December 27th, and it will conjoin Mars on December 27th. And then it will travel pretty close to Mars for a while, conjoining Mars again in January. Let me actually see. I believe it's also January 27th when they come together for the third time. Yeah. So we're almost like getting one Mercury-Mars conjunction per month. There was one in late October. There's one on December 27th, and there's one on January 27th. So Mercury in Capricorn is like slow and steady. Mercury in Sagittarius is blunt and direct, and it's close to Mars, and it's restless, and it just wants to do things. But of course, we're still in the retrograde phase, so we still don't have all the answers. But we may find ourselves sort of getting irritated with the process and getting involved in some kind of, fights, because we just don't have the patience anymore. So be careful of that second half of the retrograde between December 23rd and January 1st. And even after that, when, Mercury does go direct between January 1st and January 13th and travels through Sagittarius in close proximity to Mars, it's still a very combative, restless, irritated type energy. like I said, you know, second half of the retrograde, second half of the month can potentially, or like the last third of the month can feel more frustrating. Make sure you're not pushing too hard. Make sure that you are asking yourself what the reason behind your project is. You know, Sagittarius is a very spiritual sign. It's a very philosophical sign. So kind of figure out your philosophy when it comes to life, when it comes to your year to come, when it comes to your projects. And maybe the second half of the retrograde is frustrating, but perhaps the frustration needs to be addressed, right? If you're being so sort of rational and organized and serious and thoughtful with your speech, perhaps you're not expressing something that needs to be said. So if, you know, Mars and Mercury together bring some outbursts, then so be it. Now that you know that it might come, perhaps you will be able to navigate it without pointing fingers and sort of losing your temper completely. But if you need to be direct, if you need to address something openly and honestly, do it, right? I also wonder if this is like, you know, someone you're working on a relationship, for example, and Mercury in Capricorn is the time when you're thinking about the future. Maybe it's the person that you dated in the past and you broke up with them. And of course, the retrograde can bring back a lot of past problems. And then Mercury enters Sagittarius, squares Neptune. You feel back hurt. You feel hurt from the past, come back into your life. And then it conjoins Mars and you sort of express it all. And the partner is confused, right? Like, why are you bringing this up? But maybe you need to bring it up. Or perhaps, you know, bringing it up can also remind you that it no longer is valid. And so then you're letting something go and learning to let something go. So let's just talk about what Mercury being in Capricorn for the time being can be about for you, for each sign, and what the retrograde can bring up as well. So if you're an Aries rising, Mercury will be in your 10th house between December 1st and December 23rd, and then retrograde to Sagittarius after December 23rd. The retrograde begins on the 13th. So there's a lot of different dates, right? But you are on some level right now very professionally oriented. There might be new ideas, there might be opportunities to write, to speak, to present your knowledge. On December 2nd, December 21st, Mercury will sextile Saturn in your 12th house, which to me is suggestive that you are focused, you are productive, you are potentially looking at spiritual topics, being a healer, imaginative projects, bringing them into your life, or choosing work that is allowing for more rest. And then December 7th and 18th are also quite lovely as Mercury sextiles Jupiter in the second house, which could bring financial rewards and perhaps a sense of accomplishment. When Mercury does go retrograde on December 13th until January 1st, you will be looking at your career and maybe rethinking it. And as Mercury travels into your 9th house, the question of your beliefs and guiding principles and why are you here to begin with will need to be rethought, right? Like maybe as you are rethinking your career, you need to ask what you desire, or you need to, 9th house also represents education, travel, legal matters. You need to travel somewhere to get a paper that is important to you, or you need to take an exam, or you need to address some kind of legal battle that you are in so that you have more professional freedom. Please let me know how this resonates down below. If you are a Taurus rising, Mercury is entering your 9th house, and your mind goes towards education, towards travel, towards writing, and growth, and new opportunities for growth, right? And 9th house is a very philosophical place, so growth could be different for different people. For some of you, it could be about starting your business, starting your yoga studio. For somebody else, it could be about becoming a parent. And then what's interesting is like when Mercury goes retrograde, it makes its way back into your 8th house. So as you are rethinking how you're thinking about making your dreams a reality, there might be a need to address your agreements with other people. Who has the resources you need? Who can be helpful to you? Are you and your partner on the same page? Do you need to save money for a certain project that you are working on? So some kind of financial matter, some kind of agreement will need your attention. And some of the positive dates of Mercury in Capricorn are December 2nd and 21st. When Mercury sextiles Saturn in your 11th house, you can potentially benefit through working with other people. You can benefit through your friendships, through the connections you have. And then December 7th and 18th, Mercury sextiles Jupiter in your first house, allowing you to be more visible, to shine, to take action, to assert yourself and sort of bring forth that new version of yourself that you have been envisioning. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this below. For Gemini rising, Mercury is entering your 8th house, and Mercury in the 8th house is very strategic. It's very focused on paying off debts, getting a bonus maybe, kind of organizing money. There's a lot of thinking about your give and take dynamics with other people, about, what other people owe you, what you owe to them. Around December 2nd and 21st, Mercury will sextile Saturn in your 10th house, which could be very beneficial professionally. You're connecting the house of debts, taxes, loans with the house from work, with the house of career. So maybe your boss gives you a bonus, or you make an investment into your business. And then also December 7th and 18th, when Mercury sextiles Jupiter, could bring opportunities related to spirituality, imagination, travel, as Mercury sextiles Jupiter. Of course, on December 13th, between the 13th and the 1st, Mercury will retrograde from your 8th house into the 7th house, suggesting that you are rethinking all of these relational questions. You are rethinking how your agreements work, whether they're fair, whether they're not fair. You're having some kind of conversations, especially, like around after December 23rd, there might be more for the next 2-3 weeks. There might be more conversations and sort of impatience bursting out, and you just telling people how you feel, like, this does not work for me, this does. Let me know how this resonates down below. If you are a Cancer rising, Mercury is going retrograde in your 7th house. But first, until December 13th, you have Mercury in your 7th house, moving sort of clearly, unimpeded, making a bunch of harmonious aspects, and your mind is focused on dating and partnering up and negotiating. You're maybe signing some contracts, maybe you're going on more dates. Mercury in the 7th could bring someone very chatty into your life, someone who's very mercurial, Gemini or Virgo, or someone who's a journalist or writes for a living. There is a lot of kind of harmony on December 2nd and 21st when Mercury sextiles Saturn in your 9th house. So the partnerships that you're making or the contracts you're signing involve education, they involve travel, they involve writing, publishing. So maybe there's some negotiation happening there, or even dating someone foreign, because Saturn in the 9th could represent foreign connections. Maybe not romantically, but someone who's either in education or in a different country, helping you, advising you, some kind of mentor, teacher, guide type personality, a literal teacher or a more metaphorical teacher. And then December 7th and 18th are also quite good, as Mercury sextiles Jupiter in your 11th house, and you may benefit through associations around that time and hear some good news. Mercury goes retrograde between December 13th and the 1st, and it moves from your 7th into the 6th house. And of course, Mercury retrograde in the 7th could be very literal, and it's like someone from your past coming into your life, and you need to rethink whether you see them in your life, whether there's space for them in your life. But it could also be the time when you are reviewing the contracts and agreements and relationships in your life for their health. We're moving from the 7th house of relationships to the 6th house of health, work, service, and you're wondering, do they serve you? Do they support you, right? So I think rethinking contracts, rethinking agreements, rethinking your work situation is quite likely here. Please let me know how this resonates down below. If you are a Leo rising, Mercury enters Capricorn on December 1st, will stay here until December 23rd, and this is your 6th house. Mercury in the 6th is very good at problem solving, very sort of fast and organized, and watch out, of course, the danger could be like getting too flustered or, you know, taking on too much. So make sure you're not taking on too much, but your mind is on your health, your mind is on your work. You're focused on decluttering, you're focused on getting sort of organized and problem solving. Especially good dates that it can even bring some financial gifts are December 2nd and 21st, as Mercury sextiles Saturn in your 8th, and you get some kind of resource, bonus, opportunity coming from other people that can benefit your career or even benefit your health if you're looking for a doctor, let's say. And then December 7th and 18th is also very beneficial professionally, as Mercury in the 6th trines Jupiter in your 10th house. So there is good luck professionally around that time. Between December 13th and January 1st, Mercury will be retrograde, moving from your 6th into your 5th house. And to me, this reads as you're questioning whether your everyday life has space for fun, whether you've been too bogged down by work and duties and responsibility, and you're even examining, I think, those duties and responsibilities for whether they are enjoyable. There might be some disagreements or some kind of relationship matters you need to attend with Mercury retrograding into the 5th house, but they're likely to be very sort of practical. It's like, you know, who takes the trash out? What is our schedule like to make dating work? Like you're sort of going to have to be very practical. But if you haven't been saying things, be careful that after December 23rd, it will be a lot easier to be like verbally cutting and sharp and combative. So be careful that you're not just bursting everything out, blurting everything out. If you are a Virgo rising, Mercury enters Capricorn, your 5th house, and between December 1st and December 23rd, your mind is on your creative projects. It's on your children. You might be dating somebody who is communicative, chatty, intellectual, very mercurial, and yeah, just sort of dealing with a lot of creative energy, maybe hustling and balancing, juggling a few projects. A few really nice days with Mercury in Capricorn are December 2nd and 21st, when Mercury sextiles Saturn in the 7th, 5th and 7th together. Beautiful romantic energy, beautiful partnerships, good negotiation, good agreement energy. December 7th and 18th, Mercury trines Jupiter in your 9th house. And here we're looking at romance, creativity, children connected to the house of education, travel, writing, and publishing. So of course, maybe opportunities to write a novel, opportunities to put your child in a good school, romantic opportunities when it comes to someone foreign is all beautiful and lovely here. Between December 13th and January 1st, Mercury will be retrograde, and you're moving from the 5th house into the 4th house, which feels like you're looking at your relationship through the lens of your living situation. Maybe you feel like you're dating someone who lives far away and you're sort of losing steam to keep traveling to see them. So then Mercury retrogrades in the 4th house, and it's time to rethink how you date to a point that maybe they need to move closer to you, you need to move closer to them, you need to move in together. I can see that as a possibility. With the 5th house into the 4th house, there might also be certain adjustments to your home, like adding art studio or something you need to do in order to have more fun, or in order to have an outlet for your creativity, or maybe even making adjustments to your home and your living situation because of your child, right? Like your child is getting ready for high school, but you don't live anywhere near high school, so you're moving because of that. Those are some possibilities. Please let me know how this resonates, if you can see anything like this happening in your life already. If you are a Libra rising, Mercury is entering Capricorn, your 4th house, and between December 1st and December 23rd, your thoughts are on your living situation, on your furniture, redesign, remodel. You're more kind of interested in the past and your family and your early life. You may be more driven to spend time at home, or you're sort of like a lot of kind of conversations are happening with family, maybe planning holiday gatherings or planning like trips together. And you're being very productive, especially around December 2nd and 21st, as Mercury in the 4th house of home, family, comfort sextiles Saturn in the house of work, health, service, and it feels like you're maybe getting a lot done. I also really like December 7th and 18th when Mercury in the 4th house sextiles Jupiter in the 8th, putting together the house of home, family, living situation with the house of loans, debts, taxes, resources. So maybe you are, making investments into your home, getting help from the family financially. Yeah, investing into real estate. Those things are a possibility. Mercury goes retrograde on December 13th, and until January 1st, you will be rethinking the changes you have made to your home. You may be rethinking your relationship with your family for whether it needs some adjustments, right? Like whether you maybe want to move closer to family, or you want your brother to move closer to you. Mercury does move from the 4th into the 3rd. So there's also a possibility that you're looking at your living situation from a perspective of being close to siblings, right? Or being close to family, from having a neighborhood that is more perhaps reflective of your values. And also 3rd house represents your skills, your everyday life, your schedule. So you're looking at your living situation perhaps from a logistical perspective too, and trying to figure out what needs to be streamlined, what needs to be adjusted in order for you to have a better flow. Let me know how this resonates, my beautiful Libra risings. If you are a Scorpio rising, Mercury is entering your 3rd house, and between December 1st and 29th, your mind is busier. There will be more messages, more phone calls, more conversations with siblings, more interactions with neighbors. You're maybe asking important questions, taking exams. It's sort of like very much a busy period. Maybe even, some kind of more short trips, more action for your business, more sort of technical problem solving. And there is a number of good days here, especially December 2nd and 21st, when Mercury sextiles Saturn in your 5th house, and you are figuring out how to build a business for your creative installation or something. Or you are, this could be quite romantic too, where, 5th house represents dating, but it also represents creativity, children, joy, pleasure. So I think you're finding ways to have more of that. And then December 7th and 18th, Mercury will sextile Jupiter in the 7th. Once again, partnerships, joining resources with other people, dating neighbors are likely here. But it feels like both very intellectual and partnership oriented. So I don't know if it's immediately reading as romantic or more just like a partnership that allows you to stimulate your brain. Maybe it's romantic, could be. And then between December 13th and January 1st, Mercury will be retrograde, traveling from your 3rd house into your 2nd house. And here you're looking at how much money is necessary to make your projects a reality. You're looking at how you can make money from the project you have. You're sort of rethinking whether your ideas are profitable, whether they can bring you some rewards in the future. So you're looking at it from a more logical point of view, let's say. And let me know how this resonates down below. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Mercury is entering your second house between December 1st, December 23rd. Your mind is on your money. You are talking more about money. You're making investments. You're maybe using your intellect where you're writing more. Maybe you're doing some kind of translation, some kind of technical guidance for people and making more from that. You may be talking and investing into real estate as Mercury sextiles Saturn in your fourth house on December 2nd and 21st, or talking to family about resources, making some kind of new investments agreements, making money from real estate. December 7th, December 18th, Mercury will trine Jupiter in your sixth house, and this is like getting rewarded for your hard work, getting a sense of recognition, a sense of accomplishment for everything you've been doing. So definitely could be financial bonuses for you this month, but it could also be a sense of happiness from the job well done. Between December 13th and January 1st, Mercury will retrograde from your second house into the first house, and you are examining your finances. Maybe there's some debts you need to pay, something that slipped your attention and now you need to sort of handle. A lot of it is like there's two other big possibilities that I can envision, and one is investing into yourself, right? Finding sort of resources and spending money on yourself. Or, and I feel like the second possibility just escaped my mind. But it's like, yeah, like money and self, right? So investing into yourself is likely here, as well as potentially, I think, like self-worth. Yeah, that's the second one. So like self-worth and questioning your beliefs around resources, right? Do you believe that you can make $1 million, or are you sort of immediately skeptical? Because you're born with Capricorn in your second house, right? So chances of being quite skeptical or quite sort of rational and grounded when it comes to money are very high. So you may need to rethink how you spend money, how you deal with money, how you think about money, and how in turn you think about yourself, and how perhaps your relationship to money is reflective of your relationship with yourself. Please let me know how this resonates down below if you are a Sagittarius rising. For Capricorn risings, Mercury is entering your first house, and between December 1st, 23rd, you are more clear in your self-understanding. You're likely to speak about yourself. You may notice the speed of your speech increases. I'm born with Mercury in the first house, and I think I talk pretty fast. So you might talk faster, you might talk more about yourself. There might be some ideas that you've been thinking about that are now coming out. There might be opportunities to write, to speak, to collaborate with siblings, to take business action around December 2nd and 21st as Mercury sextiles Saturn in your third house. Very sort of like action-oriented energy, good for filing paperwork, reaching out to people, asking them for support, writing, speaking, sending messages. December 7th and 18th are quite good too, romantically, creatively, or for taking action related to your child as Mercury trines Jupiter in your fifth house. So I would have some kind of date scheduled for that time, or maybe have like a negotiation about your creative project or present an idea. All of that would be nice. And then of course, Mercury goes retrograde between December 13th and January 1st and moves from your first house into your 12th house. And you may need to look again in your shadows, look at your shadows. So Mercury retrograde in the first house is a sense that you had this great idea and you expressed it, you were ready to make changes, to take steps, and then perhaps something needs to be reviewed. And that something might have to do with your mental health, might have to do with your self-defeating tendencies. It might require you to be more honest about your own self-sabotaging problems, right? With Mercury retrograding into your 12th house. Or it could also require you to just do a little bit more ruminating, to sort of think about it more privately, to maybe reconsider things and potentially bring out something from the shadows into the real world. Like if you have a talent, if you have a gift, if you have an interest that you're super passionate about, but feel embarrassed or doubt that people will appreciate you if you share it, this would be the time for you to sort of ask yourself, why are you hiding it? And how can you be more unapologetic or be more brave in your self-expression? For Aquarius risings, Mercury is entering your 12th house. And between December 1st and December 23rd, you will be more introspective. You will be more imaginative. You may be more driven to escape through the means of travel, through the means of writing, through the means of going and spending more time near water, right? You're maybe making money through your imagination as Mercury sextiles Saturn in your second house of finances on December 2nd and 21st. So you're more productive and more focused and able to use your mind to your advantage, right? To monetize your knowledge, basically. And then on December 7th and December 18th, Mercury will trine Jupiter in your 4th house. And this is interesting because here we're looking at the house of like privacy and rest and the house of home, family, living situation. And maybe you're deciding to move somewhere where you will feel more restful. Or maybe you're investing into real estate, or maybe you're having some kind of breakthrough in regards to your childhood and your family and finding more freedom. Mercury does go retrograde between December 13th and January 1st, moving from your 12th house into the 11th house. And to me, that feels like you're looking at your self-defeating tendencies in regards to your friendships, to your connections, and to your plans for the future, and perhaps releasing something, and that will eventually allow you to have better connections. Releasing a friend who is kind of not supportive of you, I can see here. Rethinking how you spend your time, who you spend your time with. Working through some blocks that maybe are preventing you from growing fully. But like also, yeah, definitely some kind of deep introspection is likely here, and deeper understanding of yourself and your hang-ups or your gifts. Maybe you're figuring out how to get to your gifts more faster. If you are a Pisces rising, Mercury is entering Capricorn, your 11th house, and between December 1st and 23rd, you will be more social. Maybe you're making new friendships, maybe you're connecting with other people, maybe you're exploring new dreams. 11th house, after all, is the place of hopes and dreams and wishes for the future. The dreams might involve becoming more visible, right? As Mercury sextiles Saturn on December 2nd and 21st in your 1st house. So sort of taking charge of your destiny, taking control. That sounds like that should be like written on a mug. Take charge of your destiny. But maybe, so like December 2nd, 21st are quite lovely and opportune in terms of networking, connecting, taking charge. And then December 7th, 18th are also very beneficial because Mercury trines Jupiter in your 3rd house. So you may get good news, you may get a chance, you may get like writing opportunities, there might be progress connected to education, to technology, to short travel. Very much like a chance, I think, to assert yourself with a group of people and maybe express your ideas to them. And then Mercury goes retrograde between December 13th and January 1st, moving from your 11th into the 10th house. And here we're connecting your dreams and your vision to your house of career, status, and reputation. And you're very much looking at making things happen. You're maybe looking back at what used to motivate you in the past, at what used to inspire you in the past, and you are finding some lost inspiration there and trying to find new ways of, reviving old things. Rethinking professional relationships and rethinking friendships, both for satisfaction and support, but also for who can be helpful to you on this new path, right? Who can you reach out to? Someone maybe you haven't spoken to in a while, and just be honest. Be like, hey, I know we lost touch, but do you want to grab coffee? And then you don't know what may transpire from that. You may get that job in Paris that you are so interested in getting. Wink, wink. I cannot wink. I'm so bad at winking, but I'll say it instead. And this is it. Let me know how this resonates in the comments below. Enjoy this transit. Definitely take advantage of the earlier part of it when we have more support from Saturn and Jupiter and Venus. So make sure you're kind of going full speed ahead in the early days of December, and then try to take it easy when the retrograde begins. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.